Hey guys, this is the boss, and this is part 2 of me watching Creepy Gaming. So let's get to it. This is jvk11668.asp.
Alright guys, I've got a real fucked up and creepy one for you today.
Okay.
Today I'll bring to light the scary and not that spoken of creepy urban legend within Morrowind known as JVK116Z ESP. This is a supposed mod that was made and released by unknown sources. Now, if you search this on the web, you'll find either the creepypasta story or someone reading the creepypasta story. I'm rather going to condense the story, give my perspective on it, and explain why this one might be a little bit more than just an urban legend or a hoax. First, I'll explain the story. Basically, the mod was posted on a small Elder Scrolls community by unknown sources and was initially thought to be a virus because it froze the game up when ran and was, of course, only posted for a few days due to its malicious intent. A year later, the mod pops up again on a different board by someone who says that they were randomly messaged by a lurker on the board whom deleted their account after distributing a download to the mod. This time around, the mysterious sender stated to run the game in DOSBox to make it work so that it wouldn't freeze up. So someone does this and the game works, but it's a little bit laggy. Also, all the menus and options and etc. don't work. You can't do anything in the game except quick save and quick load. Furthermore, when the game starts, supposedly every major character in the game is already dead, so the game is doomed from the start. Also, your character every so often loses a bit of health. Supposedly, this is because there is a creepy, deformed assassin whose arms and legs are bent to resemble a spider's that darts around the game incredibly fast, scurrying across the ceiling and the walls, the floor, etc. And it quickly attacks you for a small portion of health, then vanishes occasionally. Also, supposedly at random intervals throughout the night, all the NPCs in the game would walk outside and stare up at the sky, repeating over and over, "Watch the sky."
Wow.
So, one player on this gaming board gives his experience with the mod, and he says he discovers a new NPC at Ghostgate named Tierras. Two things are notable about him. One, his robe is an animated, starry, twinkling night sky. And two, all his dialogue is voiced by a very good dark elf imitator. Now, Tierra sends the player to a dungeon, and it's just called the Citadel. This dungeon dwarfs all others in its size, supposedly, and at the end of this long dungeon, the player finds a long hallway called the Hall of Portraits. Supposedly, there are picture frames hanging in it that utilize the player's picture folder, displaying whatever is on the player's hard drive. Now, at the end of the hall is a locked door that cannot be picked open. The player relating his experience with the mod states that he notices at night the sky isn't the normal Morrowind sky, but rather what looks like a video of a real-life night sky, and that supposedly the sky and moon move like in real life. After noting how quickly the moon moves, it's believed that one day in real playtime would equal out to 1 year in the game's sky time. Now, this is in accordance to the NPCs stating to watch the sky at night, and it led to the player believing a celestial occurrence would happen, and that would signify when the door at the end of the hallway would unlock. The player stated that he would leave the game running for a whole day. However, right when 24 hours hit and the player was beginning to fall asleep, the assassin that scurries around him, it would stop and squat in front of him and scream very loudly, waking the player up. This was rumored to actually be, thought to be at least, a helpful thing from the creator of the mod. It was something used to keep the player from falling asleep at the keyboard and missing whatever event the player was looking for that signified when the door would unlock. Well, after playing for 3 days straight, 3 years in game time, the game suddenly goes utterly dark. The player states he can see figures running all around him, but they scatter if he walks near them. The player begins to have sleep deprivation, hallucinations, and dream projections, and supposedly he sees one of the game's NPCs who tells him he is very close and that the door will unlock for him very soon, and that not many others have gotten as far as him. After his first hallucination, reality and the game blend together. He sees the assassin a lot more often. He thinks he sees it crouched with long legs like a spider in his room, shrieking at him. He states when he tries to push it away, his arms sink into its bodies like hot black tar. The player finally states in his last email to the correspondent relating his experience that he cannot sleep, and when he lays down in bed, he hears the assassin tapping on his window outside. No further emails or updates were received by the player since the last one. So, there's the story in a nutshell, though I highly suggest reading it in its entirety.
Store power.
The detail makes it much more chilling. However, I am a presenter and debunker, not a storyteller, and with that, let's take a look at the evidence. The most popular image floating around the web is this, a supposed screenshot in the game when it supposedly gets ridiculously dark. Creepy enough. But if I go in and enhance this photo, we see what looks like the assassin crouching, and it is quite disturbing looking indeed. Next, we have here an artist's representation of what the assassin supposedly looks like. Finally, this is a supposed screenshot of the portrait hallway utilizing a player's pictures. So, not much hard evidence, right? Well, I thought so too until I dug deep enough and found this. A download of the actual mod on Mediafire.
Wow.
Here is a picture of the folder. This is what's inside. A folder called Assassin, a LVL file called core.lvl, an Elder Scrolls construction set file called JVK1166Z, and another LVL file called mission.lvl. Now, things become even stranger when we open the Assassin folder. Inside is a folder called Archive and a bunch of sound files, which I'll play for you now with their names shown accordingly.
Okay. Ow.
Finally, if we open the archive folder, we see 5 LVL files named 1.lvl, 2.lvl, 5.lvl, imp.lvl, and impt.lvl. There's also a picture and a text file. If we open the picture, we are given this disturbing image. After enhancing its brightness, we can see a tall figure wearing all black with a body being carried over its shoulder. if we enhance it, we can see this even better. Supposedly, this is the assassin in-game.
Okay.
Finally, most disturbing of all, if we open the text file, it reads, "I don't know if anyone will ever read this, but listen. Do not, I repeat, do not try to load this mod. I cannot explain why, just delete it." So, the fact that this thing exists, to me, gives it some credibility. Will I run the mod and experience it for myself? No, I won't.
Me neither.
However, if anyone wishes to give this thing a try, I will post a link in the description of my video to its download link. Download and try at your own risk. And if you experience anything with the mod and can get it to work, please film it, upload it, and let me know.
Next video. The next one is Hall of Tortured Souls.
Hey guys, for this myth, you're probably wondering why I have Microsoft Excel open, and this is actually a huge video game myth and urban legend. In fact, while it has little to no exposure at all, it's actually one of the most controversial, probably one of the most shocking, and lots of criticism about it says that it points to the so-called fact that Bill Gates is supposedly the Antichrist. Now, while I do not agree with that in any way whatsoever, this is quite an interesting thing. So, innocently enough, we have Microsoft Excel 95. Now, what you need to take into account is that while it is hard to get your hands on a copy of Microsoft Excel 95, what's even more difficult is getting your hands on an original copy. This program was re-released without this hidden content within it because it went against a certain act of computer safety practically. It was a little policy that was come up with later saying, oh, well, if you can put hidden data into a program, you can also put in malicious software, so we need you to remove these things. What I have here, however, is an original copy, and so without further ado, I'm going to show you this little myth and explain it and demonstrate it as best I can. So, here is what you have to do. We are going to scroll down to row 95, which is ironic because we are in Excel 95. So here we are. We're going to click here and then here. We're going to highlight the whole row, okay? Tab over once so that we're in column B right here. Then we're going to go to Help, About Microsoft Excel.
So cool.
Hover over Tech Support. At the same time, press Control, Alt, Shift, and click Tech Support. And look at this. Hall of Tortured Souls. I am not making this up. This is a little, call it a program, call it a myth, call it a legend, or call it a game. It's hidden within Excel 95.
So cool.
Who would have thought something as creepy as Hall of Tortured Souls would be hidden in something as innocent as Excel? And so, as you can see, the box it pops up in is incredibly tiny, and it's not resizable. So I am going to close my screen capturing software around this. Give me just a moment here.
And
so this is the Hall of Tortured Souls, and basically what this is a little Doom-style game. Controls are quite simple. It is simply the arrow keys to look around and move, and then C looks down and D looks up. So as you can see here, we are in this starting room that it's simple graphics, but it kind of adds to the creepiness of it all. But the controls are incredibly sensitive and fast. Barely pushing on the arrow key for a second shoots me forward that far. So I'm going to have to do little baby hit steps here. But as you can see, you start off in this room, and you are in a what looks like acid pools. And so I'm going to attempt to look down a little bit here and just baby steps, baby taps towards this. So if we go up this stairwell here, you can see the names of the team behind Microsoft Excel 95. If we come up into this room, creepy enough, we also see the names posted here in this room as well. Extremely fast scrolling. Yeah, this is something else here. Let me try and get turned around here. So we're going to go back down the hallway. Now, this is where the myth gets incredibly strange. What you have to do is look at this back wall and click upon it.
Okay.
And on the keyboard you type in Excel KFA. And as you can see, it did nothing, but it takes a few tries actually. Excel KFA. Oh, see that? Type it in on the keyboard, all of a sudden the back wall disappears, revealing the strangest part, which is an incredibly hard to walk down hallway that zigzags. The reason this is so difficult is because the controls are so jumpy, and it's just going to take me some time, because if you can hear me tapping here, I'm having to do, see that? I just fell off of the bridge. I'll try a few more times to save you and spare you the boredom. I will most likely go ahead and skip ahead to when I get past the bridge. This is such bullshit.
Ooh.
Well, I wasn't able to get across the bridge because I've been doing it for about 2 hours now. And it is quite possibly the most difficult thing I have ever had to do in my life, period. However, I was able to glitch outside of the area because you move so goddamn fucking fast that if you push forward and turn at the same time, you can pretty much spin, teleport around. So we can at least see the outside of the level. So if we look here, it's basically, when you get across the bridge, it's a room that has pictures of the developers just repeated over and over. If I back up here, you can see that it's just this really tall, long, rectangular shaped building that you're in out in the middle of nowhere. Okay. And so if I put it up against the wall here and then hold up and right, I can just kind of teleport around, see where I end up. I'm on some other side of the wall now. Maybe this will make for a more interesting review than if I had just successfully done it. I hope so. That's not working. Let's see if we can get in there. I'm going to keep doing this action. See if I can't get up in there. There's a picture of some people. Oh, where am I? Where am I? Nope. I'm not able to get in. But basically, all I'm trying to say is that this is one of the strangest things I've ever seen, and even stranger that it would be hidden inside of a Microsoft product. And just to give it to you in perspective, what you're looking at here is basically all that's across the bridge. I'll just go ahead and show you one more time. I can get the code put in. Okay, so if you look and see across there, it's basically just a octagonal room that has pictures of the developers posted around it, and the same scrolling font as we saw in the previous room. And just to give you an idea of how hard it is to cross this bridge, the most subtle tap of my arrow keys just sends me forward. And I have never tapped buttons this light. Look at that. I fell off the bridge. Oh, time to teleport around. But you get the point. It's a strange thing that's been hidden, highly controversial. I don't see how it proves that Bill Gates is the Antichrist or anything, maybe because it has a scary name. But I figured I would show you that with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Next video. So this might be his popular video, and it's Killswitch.
For today's creepy gaming oddity, I present a myth in gaming that is so obscure and undiscussed that even I had a hard time finding any information on it. I'm excited to bring this one to light, so I'm just going to jump right into it. In 1989, a gaming corporation known as the Carvina Corporation made and released a video game known as Kill Switch. Don't get it confused with the modern-day Kill Switch, however. Its popularity was incredibly short-lived. It was released innocently enough as a horror survival game and was supposedly considered a precursor to the Myst and Silent Hill franchises. The graphics were monochrome, meaning gray and white shapes against a background, which I'm assuming looked much like today's infamous horror PC game, Witch.
Oh, this one. I saw PewDiePie play it. I really like the old Pewds better than the new one, because the old Pewds is nicer and the new Pewds is acting a little bit gayer. Don't get me wrong.
Apparently, during gameplay, slowed down MIDI versions of Czech folk songs would play. I have here the only known recording of music from this game, supposedly.
Okay, please stop doing that. What's going on? Pause the goddamn music. Thank you.
There were two characters a player could choose between. An invisible demon named Ghast, or a human woman named Porto.
See?
I have only found minor artists' representations across the web of what Porto may have looked like. Supposedly, playing as Ghast was very difficult since he was invisible, and players would want to restart the game since judging distances for things such as jumps was nearly impossible while playing as Ghast. While Ghast had poison and fire-based attacks, the difficulty led to Porto becoming the real default character. Porto's only ability was to randomly expand and contract in size throughout the game without the player's control.
Hold on, man.
As the game begins, Porto wakes up in the dark with her elbows wounded. She begins to seek a way out of wherever she is, and we learn that she is ascending through levels of an old, abandoned, or so we think, coal mine.
Okay.
We learn slowly that she used to be an employee of this coal mine.
Okay.
There was an incredibly deep and mysterious story, supposedly hidden in code, in which the player would discover different magnetic tapes, files, mutilated factory workers, and deciphering an incredibly difficult code inscribed on iron axes. According to legend, a player of the game named Porto881 posted the cipher to the code and allowed players to finally crack it. However, attempts to contact him have been unsuccessful, and the username is no longer in service. Once the player has solved the code, Porto puts together a tape player, and a male voice tells her the fires of the earth have risen up in defense of their mining of the earth. Fires of the earth was assumed and believed to be demons such as Ghast.
Okay.
The end of the game consists of the player ingesting raw coal to keep Porto's body size under control, which is needed to walk through small areas of the tunnels and escape. However, as Porto crawls through the final tunnel to emerge above ground, the screen, without warning, goes completely white. The game, by design, deletes itself upon the player completing the game.
I remember that.
rumored to not be recoverable by any means not copyable and all traces of existence removed from the player's hard drive entirely.
Also, this one a little bit.
This means the game can only be beaten once, as either Porto or Ghast. Now, the outcry of Killswitch's player base, as you can imagine, was enormous. Players wanted to buy more copies of the game so they could replay it, but the Carvina Corporation only released a meager 5,000 copies and would not make further editions. This is supposedly an excerpt of a 1990 press release from the Carvina Corporation.
Okay.
Killswitch was designed to be a unique playing experience. Like reality, it is unrepeatable, unretrievable, and illogical. One might even say ineffable. Death is final, death is complete. The fates of Porto and her beloved Ghast are as unknowable as our own. It is the desire of the Carvina Corporation that this be so, and we ask our customers to respect that desire. Rest assured, Carvina will continue to provide the highest quality of games to the West, and that Killswitch is merely one among our many wonders.
Okay.
Referring to Ghast as Porto's beloved, intrigued, obsessed gamers, what was the connection between the two? Obsessed players would run out in a frantic search to find remaining copies of the game. They wanted to know what happens if you beat the game as Ghast. Many speculated on what Ghast's completion of the game would be like, but by the time it was questioned, no more copies were available to be dispensed. To find a copy today is considered to be an unfathomably rare occurrence, but a supposed shrink-wrapped, mid-condition copy was sold at auction in the year 2005 for $733,000 to a man
that's so expensive.
Yamamoto Ryuichi. Yamamoto intended to film his playing of the game to all those curious and upload it for all to see. However, the only film which has supposedly surfaced is an incredibly infamous legend amongst gamers. A 1 minute and 45-second video of Yamamoto looking on the edge and haggard at his computer. The player select screen can be seen over his shoulder, and Yamamoto is crying and sobbing.
Why?
While this video hasn't released and I haven't seen any proof, I have to say, this is one of the weirdest myths I have ever heard, and I've been able to collect very little data on it. However, in fact, I've only been able to find one video of the game at all. While most likely hoaxed, this is supposedly a very short video of what the player select screen looked like. After much digging, the remaining evidence I was able to find was a supposed post about the game on Steam's Greenlight. However, clicking on the link to supposed screenshots of the game now only brings us to a post-deleted error screen. 2 images have surfaced, supposedly this being the start screen of the game. And this, well, perhaps just some sort of advertising image for the game. There is nothing else I can find to support that this game existed, so I, for once, cannot clarify its validity. It's just as mysterious to me now as it was before I found out anything about this at all. So, I'm asking, if you guys want, please let me know if you find out anything about this, and let me know by way of comment or message. I will have a link posted in my video description of the full story of Killswitch. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Pause it. That's part 2. Hope you like this one. Like and subscribe. Share the Google Plus, Facebook, and Twitter, and probably gonna come soon. And peace.